I'd say my favorite poet and singer was Leonard Cohen. Just to name two songs that he came out, three songs I'll name. Suzanne starts off, Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. Yeah, that was the first one he recorded that later became famous. Then there was one called Hallelujah that's been, I would say, sang by, I wouldn't say necessarily 100 different singers, but between the singers and people that sang it in the churches during weddings, at least 100 times. He wrote the words, they said, approximately 100 times before he released them. He wrote the poetry of the song Hallelujah about 100 times. When it was released, his record company would not record it. They said it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. No. They recorded his other albums and they were doing great. But we're not going to do Hallelujah. Now you've heard Hallelujah. If you go to YouTube and put Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen and other people that produced it, you'll understand it's probably one of the top songs that you'll ever hear. But he was turned down by his, I'm not sure if it was Columbia or Sony Records. He was with several record companies, so it died. And it was the very thing that was going to make him famous. It died because no one believed in that song, except one guy that was basically unknown. I'm gonna toss his name out to you and see if you know his name. Jeff Buckley Jr. You ever heard of Jeff Buckley Jr.? His father, if I remember right, drowned. It wasn't intoxication or drugs. And Jeff Buckley, Tim Buckley was the father. I followed him on his albums. I liked him, folk singer. Jeff Buckley's a folk singer. It's the son. Jeff Buckley Jr. was so, I guess it's not Junior. So, just Jeff Buckley. And what happened here is that he decides to record it. So here's a guy that no one really knows. Do you know who Jeff Buckley is? Can you name a hit by him? Can you give me a name of one of his record albums, titles of a CD cover? So here's an unknown, relatively unknown young singer in his 20s. And he sings Hallelujah. And I don't want to use the word that starts with all H broke out. But I think you're going to get what I mean. That song became number one everywhere in most countries that did English songs. And oh my gosh. He became so famous on that song that his own recording company here, the one that recorded him, Sony or Columbia or whichever one was doing him, I think it's one of those two, was so embarrassed they thought they better go ahead and release it. And he becomes an overnight success on that one song. But not really. That's the freaky song, that story, that no one thought it would go over. And when you get off of this tonight, I want you just to go and put Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah, live in London. And you'll see one of his last performances in London, when he made a comeback after all of his money was stolen by his manager, after 65 years old. He comes back, at this time probably close to 70 something, and you'll see him live in London. There's I tell you what, it was a #1 CD and a #1 DVD, both of them, before it was released by Amazon. That's how many people worldwide was ordering Leonard Cohen live in London. I'm free flowing tonight, folks. This isn't scripted, you know that. Here he's lost all of his retirement money while he was on a retreat of sorts, and his manager stole all the money. So he comes back at 65, back to enjoy his retirement, and it's all gone. He comes out with an album that he had to record at his home, I think he and Sharon Robinson. And Sharon Robinson was a lady that had stayed with him from the beginning, writing songs and things. Not so much writing as much as helping with the arrangement. She and he gets together and goes up in a garage, the way I've heard it. They go up in the garage before the cars start moving in the morning, which means probably before 5. And they wanted to start the recording so they wouldn't have the traffic background of cars going to work. Now here he is, he and her, making 10 songs. 10 songs. Hadn't had anything out for not 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. Hadn't had anything out for 10 years or 11 years. They make 10 songs up in that garage on a tape recorder or whatever recorder they use. And of course he played guitar. He had one of these things you can play, synthesizers or whatever. Can't pronounce the word. Adds that to it. Releases it under the CD name 10 New Songs. What a creative title. 10 New Songs. I ended up buying 2 of those. It launched him worldwide, where he wasn't known before. He became known. Sellout. Total sellout. Then comes many other albums that they put out. He goes on tour worldwide several times. Now we're thinking about a 65-year-old man going on tour worldwide. But starting with a CD of 10 New Songs. That's the name of the album, 10 New Songs. and hadn't had anything out for 10, 15 years. Sold out everywhere. Sold out everywhere. London, England knew that he was so famous there because of the sellout that they better record that thing live, and they did. And that's why it's called Leonard Cohen Live in London. And I pre-ordered the CD as well as the DVD. And if you have any desire to hear Leonard Cohen, by all means, buy it from Amazon or go to eBay and buy a used copy for $4 or $5. They're always cheaper. They'll be used, guaranteed not to be scratched, or you can return it. Things like that. I haven't checked the prices, but it'll be at least half of what Amazon's used prices probably will be, and they include shipping. Most of the sellers include shipping. Now I mentioned that, but I'll tell you, one of the first songs that became famous before he became really famous is called Suzanne. We talked about that a minute ago. And then here come his relation with Suzanne was off and on. A good one. She's if you want to put Leonard Cohen dash Suzanne, and you can see a short movie about her talking about their relationship. Now, he goes to Greece and meets a girl by the name of Marianne, last name I-H-E-N. I don't know how to pronounce it. And they lived together off and on for quite a while. When he gets ready to break up, he's becoming real famous, okay? And he didn't stick around Greece that often. So before he finally broke it off, he thought, I'll just write a song and break it off that way. So he wrote the song called So Long Marianne. She turns on the radio and she hears, she doesn't know they've broken up until she turns on that radio and hears the song So Long Marianne. Well, that's almost as good as the first girl named Suzanne, the one that takes me down to the river. He breaks that one off, sort of, but not as explicit, with the song Suzanne. Suzanne turns her radio on. This is yours between the two. She turns it on. She had no idea. All of a sudden, she was listening to a song about herself. He did not give her a penny from the song. He treated people to big parties, but never supported her with a dime. You'll hear that if you leave here after this and look it up. Look Leonard Cohen dash Marianne story or something like that. If you want her last name, it's Marianne, Marianne, last name I-H-E-N. You could just put that on the search and come up with a very interesting story about Leonard Cohen and her. Very interesting. Okay. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you near what I know about him from the many years from 1967 when I listened to his first songs called War and Hate. to when he wrote his last song and recorded it, called You Want It Darker. When I picked up that last album, You Want It Darker, I thought something dark is about to happen. And within probably a few weeks, he was dead. You can go to YouTube and put that in and see a tremendous video done on that song. His son Adam is doing all these videos that's being done now with his records and songs, and they produced another one. They produced one. His son produced with friends of Leonard Cohen a album that Leonard wasn't in, but Leonard wanted it published. And that's one I don't have. Save the Last Dance for Me. Now you can watch that on YouTube's. Save the Last Dance for Me. Wow, what a title. He was known for his words as titles. And I won't say anything about his poetry because I appreciated his music more than his poetry. Now I'm going to end this with saying that girlfriend that he had called Mary Ann, that he wrote the songs So Long Mary Ann, and she would go to New York to hear him. Now she was in Greece, but he wouldn't even see her because he was occupied with other fans. Let's put it that way. I think she was a little disappointed. 3 months before the grand happening that I'm going to tell you about, she dies. And writes a letter, though. She writes a letter and says, I have leukemia. Writes it to Leonard. 3 months before he dies. She is getting ready to die within a week or two. But his letter got to her before she died and was read to her. He wrote back and said, Mary Ann, we had a lot of good times. And I'm going to be following you very soon myself. He was very sick, okay? He was very sick. That letter was read on her deathbed. She got to hear from Leonard for the last time and smiled and was happy. And 3 months later, he died. So he did follow her very soon afterwards. Now, if I get any likes on this at all, I'm going to go in much more detail about Leonard Cohen and show you his books, show you his pictures and things like this. So at least give me some views if you want to see me do that. In other words, they record the views when people watch something. They record the likes. And if you like my easygoing style, this is the way I do things. Very spontaneous. If I have notes, my notes, you want to know what YouTubers how they prepare their YouTubes. It's not like this. That's my script for tonight. 4 lines. So if you like that style, you've come to the right place. If you want to subscribe, you'll get similar stuff, but it won't always be about Rod McHugh. Somebody else will talk about, but it won't be about Jeff Buckley, and it won't be always about Leonard Cohen. So, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for any comments you leave, any thumbs up. What else can I say? I don't need subscriptions because I don't want any money from Google. I can't get 1,000 subscribers. You got to get 1,000 subscribers to even be considered for 1 penny. I got 30-some subscribers, not 1,000. I'm not asking for you to make me a penny. Have a good day. Talk to you later.